I mean, he tried to get me to quit many times. And there was many days that he would have me so mad I'd be in tears screaming, because it's working with family. You know, he's harder on me than it is on anybody else. He'll admit that. He'll tell just about anybody that. Literally, my childhood, I had no friends growing up. I mean, I did at school, but outside of school, I had nobody. During the summer, I hung out with nobody. I did nothing but stay at that shop.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting, thought-provoking episode of the Jaded Mechanic podcast. My name's Jeff, and I'd like to thank you for joining me on this journey of reflection and insight into the toils and triumphs of a career in automotive repair. After more than 20 years of skin knuckles and tool debt, I want to share my perspectives and hear other people's thoughts about our industry. So pour yourself a strong coffee or grab a cold Canadian beer and get ready for some great conversation.
That was a score.
Well, I saw that. Somebody had a bunch of Krispy Kremes
Do
going
you
around.
want some? I know where they are. I know a guy.
Do you want me to go get you some?
Well, before I go home then, if you can sneak some Krispy Kremes
I hope
to me,
them boys down there don't eat them all.
then I mean, I don't need any more. So, but if I could get a couple, because
What's need got to do with anything?
we don't get them donuts in Canada, eh?
Oh, man.
Krispy Kremes, we don't get them in Canada.
Oh, man.
Hell, y'all be trying to pour gravy on them or some shit if you had them up there.
So your glass, when you set it down,
Don't do that.
Yeah, try to set it down quiet or just hold on to it, because it amazingly enough it picks it up right through the table.
Clink.
So anyway, we are here at ASTE 2023. You're listening to another episode of the Jaded Mechanic podcast, and I am here with the family, the Burris family, from Frog Pond Performance in North Carolina. A really good friend of mine, Benji Burris, and then his beautiful wife, Kristy, and their son, Cody, and Miss Callie. And we're all here. We're just we're here to talk about what I wanted to know is, because when I first met Benji last year at ASTE, and then I got to know him, I'm like, you got that much kin working with you in one business? And that's a, you know, it's not all uncommon in our industry, but I thought there's no better family to get that kind of story and that dynamic than with this family. So everybody kind of go around the table and introduce yourself. So
Me first?
yeah,
Go ahead.
You're the matriarch. So
Okay, so my name's Benji Burris. We've been in business since 2012 is when I officially...
Officially, yes.
Was it 2012 or 2009?
Wow.
I don't know. See, and everybody always...
You know what? I think it is 9, actually,
I
because
was gonna
before
say, I
that,
think it
you
was
worked
2009.
wherever you could work to pay the bills,
Yeah.
including chicken
Well,
houses and whatnot. But I think officially you did, like, set up paperwork in 09.
see, yeah, 2009, so...
You'd worked literally, though, since you were 12 doing it.
Wow.
Just maybe not for yourself.
So I started at a little place. We actually met. Me and Kristy met in a 2-bay gas station, and the name of the place was Frog Pond Service.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for a man. I started for him my freshman year of high school. I wanted to buy a horse, and my parents said, "You want a horse? Get a job." So I got a job and bought a horse, and then the horse turned into a truck, and then the next thing I know, I met this chick over here, and
Lucky day.
Well, I mean, 2 weeks later, we got married, and here we are,
almost.
24 years.
it wasn't 2 weeks.
It wasn't
I'll be
long.
honest with you. It was just a couple months, and we were like, hey, what are you doing Saturday? You want to get hitched? And then my mother was like,
Ooh, she flipped.
I can't plan a wedding that quick, and you got to give it a little bit. So she made us wait a couple months or a few months, but like I'll tell you like this, we first met right around like New Year's, and he didn't want to go hang out with me for New Year's, and he thought I was going to change my plans, and I didn't. And so I think he changed his mind like a week later and talked to me. And then for my birthday, which was February, we had already been like dating some, and we were like already talking about getting married.
Yeah.
So that's really literally like 2 months.
So then we got married September 15th.
Nope.
September 25th.
There you go.
Yeah, September
it up with Cody's
25th,
birthday.
1999. Well, I get September 15th and 25th mixed up.
Yep.
Because Cody was actually born the next September. He was born
September 15th, 2000.
Yep.
That's
So
the
you've
greatest
been-
day of their life.
You'd been working at a gas station,
a little 2-bay service
Yeah.
station. Yep.
and you told me, because I remember the story when we first met last year, You told me at one point you threw like a radiator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So, again, I worked for the man all through high school. Abe was he was a lot more of a father than he was a boss man to me. There was a lot of times he should have fired my ass and sent me up the road. A lot of times I had that little terrible attitude, and got to the point I knew everything. You couldn't tell me nothing. Typical teenager, typical teenager, typical young 20-some-year-old know-it-all punk.
Mm-hmm.
So but I distinctively remember was putting a fan in a Honda Accord, and I screwed up. I put the wrong bolt in, and I run a bolt through the radiator, bolting that fan back up. And he didn't want to change the radiator. It was my fault. It was absolutely my fault.
It happens.
Yep, it happens. I was 21 years old, something like
probably.
that. And he didn't want to replace the radiator, and he wanted me to JB weld the hole in the radiator. No joke. He wanted me to JB weld the hole in the radiators. And I did. I pulled the radiator back out and I dried everything off and I put JB weld on it. And I'll never forget this. So I let it set up overnight. The next morning I come in and I'm putting everything back together. My JB weld, it's all held up real good. We're good to go, man. We go put antifreeze in this thing and it's leaking. And I'm like, this piece of shit's leaking. Well, if you wouldn't have ran a bolt in it, then we wouldn't have this problem. I said, if you just get another damn radiator, we wouldn't have this problem. And I threw the radiator across the shop, and I lost my shit. I did. I lost my shit. And I threw the radiator across the shop, and I'm like, screw this, I'm done. And I walked out, and I will never forget that night. I quit, and I'd never quit a job.
Right.
Never.
You're not the type. You're not the quitting type.
No, dude. We're not going to quit. But I did. I was so mad, and I quit in the heat of the moment. And I mean, at the time, you got to understand. I was working during the day for this man, but then I would go to this guy's house and I'd work, and I'd go to this guy's yard and I'd work, and I'd be working at my house and wherever we could.
Mm-hmm. And we were still eating tuna because it was cheap.
Yeah. We
were broke as convicts.
So you had been married at this point? When this happened?
Yeah.
Yes.
We hadn't been married long, but we had been married, and I remember coming home and telling her, I quit my job. I quit my job. And she, well, what are we gonna do? Because at the time, you were still working at Pizza Hut, I think.
Yes. So I had a really good job, like in healthcare,
right.
And when we got married, it was really like too far to drive.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to change jobs, and sure enough, found out that same week that I was pregnant with Cody. And so my job fell through. And so I literally went to work at Pizza Hut as a waitress to do whatever I could do to pay the bills, because nobody will hire you at that point in life when you're pregnant,
Yeah.
So there's that.
So
we were really eating tuna. Like, you know how...
Back in the day, you could buy 5 cans of tuna for $1,
Yeah.
So
we literally had it every way you could have it. We were like Bubba Gump shrimp, tuna style.
Yeah.
Tuna casserole,
tuna sandwich, tuna on a cracker, you name it. It was
pretty sad.
So.
Yeah. And so, how did you feel when he came home?
I
mean, because I like, for better or for worse, right?
Right. Well, I mean, he was a little bit of a hothead at that point. I mean, just a little bit.
Way.
But
lies.
No. But I really wasn't mad at him because I knew he was frustrated.
Yeah.
And like there wasn't a lot of growth there because we were in such a rural area.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you really couldn't make that much money. And he really didn't get that many hours consistently every week. So we were kind of up in the air with like, what are you going to make? How many hours are you going to get? But they had kind of had blows before because they were almost like father and son.
So was he paying you out? Sorry to interrupt. Was he paying you hourly, or were you on some kind of flat rate?
I was hourly, and I will tell you right now, I was making $17 an hour when I quit, and I had worked for him for 17 years.
Wow.
17 years.
But when you say not many hours, he didn't have a big workflow coming in that he could always be there, or?
Yeah, I mean, see, I was the one that I would go in at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd open up and I'd get the work done, especially during deer season. That was my thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to take off where you're taking off going fishing. I'm taking off going deer hunting.
Yeah.
So I got to come and go as I wanted, and I mean I had it made.
Yeah.
But he, I would work limited hours during the wintertime during season, but it's what I did. But I supplemented that by going to this guy's shop and working, and going to this guy.
In this chicken house.
Yep, I used to work in a chicken house quite a bit. It's kind of funny. Honestly, that's how the name got started, Frog Pond Performance, because at that time, dude, I love Mustangs, I love superchargers. We used to really play a lot.
You did some stuff with some race cars too, right? Like circle track, and I mean that's the culture down here, kind of, right?
Drag racing. Drag racing was my thing.
Yeah,
I loved it. I loved it back in the day.
I never really was a big NASCAR circle track kind of guy, but 2 cars lining up, taking off.
That's what he likes.
When I was a kid, that's what I thought. Everything started and ended there.
Yep.
After the quarter mile, I didn't care what happened to the car.
There you go.
I just wanted to. That was what it mattered.
So I still got a '66 Mustang that I bought in high school. I still to this day I have that car, but it was nothing for me and her to take it out. We would go to all the local drag strips. We would put a set of slicks in the trunk and a jack. We would drive it to the drag strip, jack it up, change the back tires, race it. I mean, beat the hell out of this car and then drive it back home that night.
And while he would work, I would literally, there were old school bus seats up there when he was working on stuff, and I would sleep in the school bus seats just so I could
Those
hang
seats
out.
are still there to
They
this
are.
day.
And I mean,
To this day. Stop
I
by
want you
last
to know
week.
I've put a lot of miles on those seats sleeping.
And that's at the track.
No,
this is at
the
Dave's shop.
This
All
is
of
at
the
the
service.
old
It is
service
the
station.
exact
Yep.
same
Yeah.
Still
as
there.
when he left.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
So and another funny thing. So Abe actually started. Well, he bought this shop out from Kristy's grandpa right after he come out of Vietnam. He served in Vietnam. He came home and he opened the shop. Well, not opened the shop, but bought the shop and started working there. Well, he rented that shop. Okay, so he's been in that shop longer than I've been alive. I'm 46 years old now. He's been there longer than I've been alive, and he's rented that shop every month ever since. So you think about that. Now, this place is literally falling in. You imagine all your old gas stations got the big pane glass windows, on the corner of the office. Well, hell, the glass got busted out back when I was working there, and he'd go in and screw a piece of plywood up over the window. I mean, just a little dumpy looking place.
It's an old building.
Yep.
I mean, like you said, my grandpa and my great uncle ran it for years before.
So when you quit, where did you go? You still kind of moving around, or?
Well, I went home, and I distinctively remember staying up for a few nights,
He didn't sleep
puking my guts out because I was worried to death.
because I was pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here I am. We freshly married. We got a kid on the way. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
He was sick.
Yeah.
And he would literally go work in the driveway. So we had a gravel driveway and we had a carport over it, right? And he would be out there and he would have these cars up on jack stands. And we didn't even have life insurance, dude. I remember I talked to him one day and I was like, okay, you have got to build a shop or something because you're going to get killed out here. And I cannot do
raise a
this on
child.
my own.
Yeah.
You have to. You have to commit and just do it.
Yep.
He was sick, nerves. It was terrible.
Could you have gone back and got your job back?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But you were
They
fed up.
I had too much pride.
They went at it forever, but I genuinely think he was at a point where he wanted more.
I did.
Couldn't grow.
He
any
was
further.
just scared to death to do it.
At that point in my career, I was as far as I would ever get working for him. And again, he's a great man. I love this man to this day.
Yeah.
Also, to this day, he's still there.
Yeah.
He's still there. He's still working. But he's more like a father than a boss.
Benji wants him to come down there and work with him, but he ain't never going to leave because he's going to have to clean all that stuff out. He's not going to do that.
Because your parents, Cody, this is the first time I met you, but your parents bragged about how you were in diapers in a stroller in the shop as your dad worked on stuff. Then he says the earliest memories probably for you then are being in the shop, right? You grew up around it.
So my entire life I've been in the shop. So I distinctly remember him buying a toolbox. It was a new Snap-on toolbox, and the top drawer went side to side.
Yeah.
The top drawer had no tools in it. It had pillows, and it had a comforter in it. And when me and Caleb would get off the bus, if we wanted to sleep or we wanted to play, we would get in the top drawer of the toolbox, and he would work around us getting tools out of the toolbox. We would either sleep or we'd hang out up there. We'd play on the top of it. We would run around the shop. I drank gas out of a Pepsi bottle one time.
He was telling me that.
Yeah. He was literally like still barely out of a walker at that point in time.
No, he was not, because he was actually still in one of the little walker things around, that's got the wheels and all
so
on
he was
it.
He could come out of it, but he was still in it then.
Your mom said the doctor said don't have him fart around anything. Anybody
Don't let
that's
him
smokes.
Don't let him
match.
match. Don't let anybody smoke around him, because he was burping and pooting
It
terrible,
was
like
awful.
octane.
But thank God you pulled through. I mean, that can pretty risky thing.
Yeah.
But you made it through.
Yeah, I'm really concerned. That may be what messed him up. I
It
mean,
may be.
he's definitely
And it may
screwed
just
up.
be, I'm your son.
Yeah. So at that point in time, like Pizza Hut wasn't cutting it, so I had went back to school. We were able to get some funding for me to go back to school, so I was in school day, night, whenever I had to be a teacher. And so they would stay either, with my mom and dad some. They worked also, but as much as they could.
Yeah.
And then they were literally in that shop. And he didn't just work, like a traditional 8 to 5, 9 to 5. He literally worked
Till the
sun
went
up
down.
to sundown, and maybe then he would send the kids in the house and he would go back. I mean, they were there all the time.
Yeah.
it
So
seemed
he
like.
had a drain in the floor that I distinctly remember that he had cut the end of a gear oil bottle off, and it would fit perfectly down in this drain. And he had drilled a hole in it, a smaller hole, but he could get it back out if he played with it a little bit. So he would drive this down in, and me and Caleb had a ball that we would take turns back and forth, basically playing putt-putt with our feet for a ball that had come across the road from the ball field. That's across the road. They had hit one over. We didn't take it back. We kept it.
Yeah.
Homemade ball field.
Yeah,
Homemade
ball
field.
Yeah.
wrapped in tape.
Yep.
But we would keep ourselves entertained for hours with that.
Yeah. And that's just where you grew up.
Yep.
Yeah. So when did you get into the decision? So you got this smaller family shop, right?
It's a 30 by 32 steel master building that's what we put up. Whenever she finally said, look, you've got to do something.
Yeah.
We were able to buy that. We could not even close the front end. We had plastic hanging on the front. We had just enough concrete around the base that we set the building on the foundation, but then the inside of it was still gravel.
Right.
I had enough concrete. The first engine job I ever did, I had enough concrete in the front corner, the back corner of it was like a 10 by 10 pad of concrete up there that I remember the first truck I ever changed the engine out on, I was able to get the front wheels up on that concrete pad, and then the back I had sitting on big wooden blocks, and I had just enough room to be able to get the engine hoist to just barely get the motor out, change everything over, and put it back in.
Tell him about the patchwork concrete job. We've still got to this day, but
So
this will really tell you how bad it was.
The guy that delivered the concrete to us for the foundation around, I mean, he knew we were really young, we were struggling. He's like, hey man, I've always, I come through here all the time going back to the plant, and I might have a extra yard or 2 yards or whatever. He said, I'll be glad to drop by, wink wink, if I got any extra. So it would be nothing for me to be out there in the shop working, and here come the concrete truck just come rolling up in there. Well, I had like some two by sixes that I left right there all the time. Well, depending on how much concrete he had, I might pour an additional 10 foot. It may be 2 or 3 foot wide. But I went down and we did a 30 by 32, and we've got just sections of concrete as we're doing it. And dude, I'm shitting in high cotton. I'm getting concrete. It beats gravel.
It's like Dolly Parton's song, right? Coat of Many Colors.
There you
That's
go.
kind of like your
There you
floor,
go.
right?
We have a concrete patch of many colors.
That's awesome.
So, well, then after finally got mad and threw the radiator and quit, and we started working there just to, full time then, I guess you could say. And I'm like, this ain't gonna work. We got to do something else. I got a 30 by 32. I got no room. I don't have a lift. I'm working on the ground. So we bought 20 more foot of this building, and it's the Kwanzaa style hut steel building. So we're able to add on 20 more foot. I got a buddy that's working at a Ford dealership. Well, they took an old 9,000 pound rotary lift out.
Right.
I go down there and I think I give a couple $100. I buy this lift, throw it on the back of the trailer, bring it home, put the lift up myself. Man, we've got 20 more foot added onto the shop. We got a new lift set up back here. We splurged. We were finally able to have a concrete truck come in, and I had these guys come up, and they put a skim coating right over the top of all this concrete patch, and then they poured that last 20 foot that we added on. So, man, by that time, we are rocking and rolling.
Smooth again.
We got it made.
Right.
We got an old wood heater from somebody.
Yep.
Got us a...
Got a big chicken fan up in the end. I was
Exhaust fan.
So then it was
fan.
heated.
Yep.
And then we had a big, skillet, cast iron pot, whatever. We would cook beans and let them cook
So
all
we
day.
had it was a 2-step heater.
Uh-huh.
Wood stove.
A wood stove. And the lower section had a thin brake rotor on it, and the top section had a thick truck brake rotor on it.
Right.
And he had a pot that stayed up there all the time. So it was constantly cooking chili beans or constantly cooking this or constantly heating up peanuts.
Yeah.
We'd get a bag of peanuts, and me and Caleb would sit there for hours at the time and roast our own peanuts on top of the thing. That was what entertained us.
Right.
But I remember it would be, during the heart of the winter, it'd be freezing in there because you weren't going to heat that whole building with absolutely no insulation whatsoever.
Yep.
Basically
So we
a
would
beer
all
can.
huddle.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would all huddle right there around the heater. And in the summertime, I remember there's a thermostat, and it's still hanging down there to this day, or a thermometer, not a thermostat, that hangs up in the top of that building. And I've seen that thing at 135 many days. And it don't matter how many fans you have on you.
Hair dryers.
It is.
That's not cooling you off.
Yeah.
Nope.
Right. That's just moving the air. That ain't no cool.
So by that point, businesses. I mean, we've got a good name out. Again, now keep in mind, we're on a little 2-lane country road. We're out in the middle of nowhere, but I've grown up there my whole life. Everyone that came to that service station, they knew me. They knew I was the one that was doing the work.
Right.
So, there is no other way that I could have went out and built the shop that we've got now had it not been for being raised in that community, building that rapport with those clients at the time. When I left, man, there were a lot of people that came with me. So we were, we've been very blessed. We have absolutely been very blessed.
I feel that, like, as soon as I met you guys, I felt that you guys get it about community.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that's something that when people are raised up rural like that, right, it's kind of just, it's in your blood. You don't know, because nobody's a stranger. You know everyone, right? And there's some people you might not like as much as others.
Right.
But they're still...
Well, there's so many people in that community that I've known my entire life, too. So I technically wasn't raised in that community, but my daddy was.
Yeah.
So my grandparents lived there and went to church there. And so I knew them all also. And we, went to the service station to get our cars serviced, which is how we met. Apparently, just because this is sweet, apparently I told my grandpa when I was about 12 years old that I was going to marry that little boy that worked at the service station one day. Now, I don't remember saying it, but he said I did, so I did.
And he's probably not the type of man to lie.
Nope.
No, he was not. And
So-
he loved Benji.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, when I told him that we were dating and getting married, he was like, "Yep, you said you were years ago," and I was like, "What?" There you go.
So you and your brother are hanging around the shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
You both go to school,
Correct.
right? And then did you ever think, because I know your brother, I don't know your brother, and I barely know you, but he took a different path, right? Your dad and I were kind of talking about
Correct.
that, right? He'll wrench on a car, but
He will. He's very. He gets very frustrated very fast.
right?
He never wanted to be at the shop like I did. He always wanted to be more outside. Whereas I didn't care about being outside as long as I was at that shop. Now, you weren't getting me to do my schoolwork. I would hide. I would throw it away. I would do whatever I could do to get out of doing that as long as I could be at that shop.
Right.
My entire childhood, I didn't go to parties. I didn't hang out with people after the fact. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have stuff like that.
Yeah.
I played at the shop. That was my thing. As long as I was right beside Dad.
Yeah.
I mean, there was times that I remember getting in trouble because I would fuss, fight, kick, scream because I was made to leave that shop.
Right.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you started actually like becoming, not just hanging around, but actually being given like jobs to do?
Oh,
So there's no tellings, but I do remember in particular it was a 95 model Mustang.
Yep.
Had a 5.0 in it, GT car. Didn't have room for it to go in the shop, so in front of the shop there was an oak tree right at the corner of it. Car needed a motor. So Dad basically parked the car in front of the shop, put me to it. To tell you, it's a 95 Mustang GT, and I was as tall as the radiator support. Got the radiator out. I stood in between the engine and the radiator and took that car apart.
He might have been, what, 10, 11?
Yep. He was right in there, and
Maybe.
one of the funniest things was our snap-on man, which is still our snap-on man to this day. I remember Rick pulling up. Rick comes rolling up in the snap-on truck coming around, and I see him, as he's coming in, because I peek out the front. I hear the truck coming in. I peek out the front, and I can see him smiling and laughing as he comes in. He jumps out of the truck. He says, "Boy, they got labor laws against that shit, right?" I said, "Man, that don't apply to family."
That's right. I was just going to say, listen, family's got to earn it, right?
That's
So,
right.
yeah. What a fantastic. So it's never been, you've never probably had another employer, right? Another job.
Well, technically, he did for a little bit.
Technically, he did.
Left for a little bit to basically he.
Go ahead and tell him.
Yeah.
Tell
Okay.
the
So he.
I'm thinking as you aged up, and you two are very much alike.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's an
Oh,
asshole.
Benny and Minnie.
Yeah, he's an ass.
Asshole.
Yeah.
So you're working along in the shop, going through high school.
Yep.
Yeah.
So went all the way through high school. That was the only thing I ever done. I guess it was right after high school. He fired me because
Why?
we fought all the time.
Why?
Why?
That's a good question.
Because
Why did I
I'm
fire
thinking
you?
maybe you were hard to take directions.
Well, I'm always that.
Well, he's
yeah.
to this day, he's still that.
Yeah.
That's not why I fired him.
Yeah.
Tell him. I went home.
What happened, Cody?
Oh.
I went
Wait,
home.
yeah. Yeah. Slept over one day. He come home, woke me up, fired me.
For not coming into work?
Yeah.
Yep.
I went home, woke his ass up, and fired him.
So
Right
at that, he told me to go get a job, experience the real world, right?
Yep.
Right.
So I go get a job. Well, at this job, I'd go in at 8:30 and come out at 4:30, and I'd get off. I'd get to leave where I'd take the service truck. I'd ride up to the shop. I'd go up there. I'd steal his food. Had a grand old time. I mean, completely harassed this man. The whole point of him firing me was for me to go get a job
to learn
that I
what
had
it
to
was
be
like.
8 to 5.
Right.
Well, this job was not at all that.
So were you a mechanic at another shop?
No.
So yes and no. So I went to work for a family-owned wood miser.
Sawmill company.
Sawmill.
Yeah, because he was really good at the sawmill.
I enjoy. I have a lot of other hobbies,
Uh-huh.
and the sawmill has been one of them. I got that through high school, but I went up there so I helped train new people on running sawmills. Yes, I did the maintenance on the sawmills. I worked on those. I did service calls. I may be up in Virginia. I may be around here. I may be there.
But they give
Getting
you a
parts.
service truck, and you come back and show
Give me a
that.
service truck because I was able to work on the service truck when nobody else wanted to. It was an 06 F250 with 6.0 diesel. That's my favorite thing. So, I mean, I was right at home, but it just killed him. I went to the shop. All my tools were still there. I went up. I took the service truck and I said, "Hey, I'm going to get my toolbox and take it over here." I'm just having a grand old time. And keep in mind, Wood Miser, this place, there was a lot of volume through there as far as meals, but there wasn't a whole lot of service work. There wasn't a whole lot of maintenance to be done. So there may be days that I'm driving a forklift in circles.
Right.
He wasn't doing nothing.
But yeah,
He would still
he
come
wasn't
to
doing
the shop just to let his dad know that.
That's what I was going to say. You probably show
I
up.
was at the shop.
harassed
He
him
did.
every chance I had.
Dad, look at the service truck I'm driving.
Oh yeah,
Jackass.
every
Great.
chance I had. So, anywho, I come up to the shop one day, and I'm riding around at this point. We didn't have much to do, so I went out to ride around to pick up some diesel fuel for the new mills. And
He was bored out of his mind.
yep, pretty much. And I stopped in, and Dad looked at me, and he said, "Go back and quit, and come back. I need you back here.
Right.
Which I just thought that was the absolute greatest thing ever because my point was more proven and he was just
Yeah. So here's the
But you learned the how serious it was for your father that you act, you know.
I don't
no.
I don't know.
He probably
that
still
learned
didn't.
anything.
But
No.
in truth, he had shown quite a bit of interest in, working with the sawmill.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I
And
love
we
that.
wondered at that point in life if he felt obligated to follow in the same path. And so I really want to say, like, in a sense, Benji was maybe kind of looking for an
He had
opportunity
tried
to let him go, to make him go out and see
Right.
if this is what he really wants.
So he tried forever to get me to quit or, constantly harass me. Is this really what you want to do? Do you want to go do this? Do you want to go do that? I mean, he tried to get me to quit many times. And there was many days that he would have me so mad I'd be in tears screaming because it's working with family. You know, he's harder on me than it is on anybody else. He'll admit that. He'll tell just about anybody that.
Because he loves you and he expects
more.
He sees more potential in you
Yes.
than he
He expects
sees in
more.
anyone else in life.
Yes.
So literally my childhood, I had no friends growing up. I mean, I did at school, but outside of school, I had nobody. During the summer, I hung out with nobody. I did nothing but stay at that shop. Mom would buy park passes for Carowinds with us growing up, and I would get mad because she would make me leave the shop to go to Carowinds for the day. I mean, it was things like to the point she finally quit buying the passes because she couldn't get me to go but 2 or 3 times a year because I'd be so mad I had to leave the shop.
Ever since he was little, though, he was like a little old man. He
Yeah.
always just wanted to be with the adults. He wanted to fix something. He wanted to talk about stuff. He's just old beyond
He's a
his years.
75-year-old,
He's a-
23-year-old.
We call that an old soul.
I was really just trying to make him step out of the box and get out of the shop some, but you couldn't. You
So I
couldn't pry him
enjoy
away.
I enjoy doing a lot of other things. There's other hobbies that, point blank, my grandpa, he's since passed away, but he taught me a lot growing up. We would restore tractors together. He would do carpentry with me. There was so many different things that I've been taught that I know how to do.
Yeah.
But do I want to do them day in and day out? No, I don't. I never once took an auto mechanics class in high school. Our high school was the only one that had one. I didn't want to take it. I took cabinet making through advanced studies honors, if that tells you anything.
Those
I
are
took
the only
foods.
honors
I mean,
class.
I'm Serve Safe certified. There was so many other things that I did because, I wanted to try something different, but I always reverted back to the same old thing.
So I'm trying to. Did you at this point work in the business as well?
No, I mean, technically, I don't officially work there now.
But
I
She
was a
comes
school
up to
teacher.
do numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's not there
literally-
every day by no means.
I went to school all the way through a master's for education, so I'm a teacher.
Yeah. So do you think maybe if Mom had have been there, it would have been, I don't want to say easier for you because I'm not trying to imply that it was like crazy hard because I wasn't there, right? But do you think that would have, how would it have been if you'd have seen him always, Benji, holding him to such a high standard? Would you have kind of like go easy on him?
I don't know that I would necessarily say it would have been easier for him because I've been
Mom's
pretty
tough,
hard
too.
on him too.
She-
I
I'm
get
pretty
that. I
tough.
sense that, right?
High expectation.
But
I don't
that's
wanna
the teacher in her, too,
yeah,
right?
it is.
Yeah.
It is like
I always
very
told
consistent.
her if I had her as a teacher, I would drop out of school or I would move schools. My
Yeah.
brother had her, and I refused
I was his
to
favorite
have
teacher
her.
too. I'm just gonna throw that in there. I was his brother's favorite teacher, and it was science. And guess what? He went to school for science stuff. So I mean,
And you
I
didn't
would-
doctor the marks.
no.
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 Oh, no.
Oh gosh, no! I was
Oh,
hard
no.
on him.
Yeah.
He called me Mama one day by accident, and I said, "That's Miss Burris, sir." So I mean, no, I really feel like we're both pretty disciplined parents,
Yeah.
pretty
I
consistent,
sense
pretty
that.
firm.
Oh, yeah.
But I will say there have been a few times over the years, from the time that he was younger and up, that I can definitely see that he's held Cody to a higher expectation maybe than he has the others, to the point I would have to reel him back in by having a conversation of, do you really think you were fair to him, on him? Like, do you take a step back and look at the outside in? And he would do that. And I don't take sides a lot, but I tell them what I think, especially when I'm in there day in and day out.
And she's always right.
I am right. I've never been wrong in my life.
Not yet.
Not ever.
Mm-hmm.
But
Benji's kind of like there might have been. Benji's looking at me like there might have been 1 or 2 times she was wrong.
No, probably not. But
not less than 5.
But I don't take sides, but I really think that I am a mediator some days.
Yeah.
Oh, she's absolutely been the referee because
Yeah.
me and Cody have literally
We fist-fought across the shop.
Yeah, we have rolled around in the floor,
Yeah.
beat the and listen. Again, I'm getting a little bit older now, and Cody's got a few pounds on me. And the last time me and him tuffled on the floor,
He hurt.
I hurt, but I grabbed a ball peen hammer and started hitting him in his feet with a ball peen hammer.
Feet,
And
my
laughing.
knees trying
They
to
were
get me
laughing.
off of
Yeah.
him. Mm-hmm. He keeps telling me, any day I feel froggy, just
Yeah,
jump. Any
jump,
day.
boy.
But
Jump.
here's my problem. I don't want to have to push his old ass around in a wheelchair at the shop.
So I will say one time, Kristy got livid, mad at me.
Oh, God,
Cody,
yeah.
pull your sleeve up. So
I was
I
fired
had
up.
a cutoff wheel, and me and him got into it a little bit, and I just took a cutoff wheel, and what was it? You had one of
He
my
was
shirts
joking
on.
with me, yeah, and I had one of his work shirts on because it was one of those days I didn't have uniforms, but I was doing something really dirty, and Mom always complained because I always ruined clothes at the shop. So I took his shirt, and he's joking at me. And, you know, he's got the wheel in his hand, and he goes to hit me one time. I didn't think much about it. Well, he cut through the shirt, and it burnt down into my arm.
Ooh.
I was mad. 'Cause I don't know if
He-
you ever had
he
one of
laughed.
those, but it stings.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
laughed.
I'd rather
I've
have
done
my
that.
butt beat.
I've done
It
that.
stings.
Yeah.
Boy, she
I was
was
fired up.
mad at me, and ever since then, I have begged him. I said, "Son, let's just do it the other way. Let's make you a nice, pretty, scar cross."
Yeah, he wants to make a cross. I mean, it's straight
So
across.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Here's the idea I got. Why don't they get matching ones?
That's what I'm thinking. They
See?
they already have matching scars in the back of their
It would
head.
mess up my Ford tattoo I've got right there. I'd have to do it on the left arm. I'd do it.
Would you mind if it was on the other side for Dad?
I don't care, but we already have one thing that's matching. If you look at the back of our head, we have an identical scar in the identical spot
We do.
from 20 years difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My head went through the back glass of a pickup rolling it over. His head was cut on the corner of the bar, and
I was sliding in my socks and busted it.
You could not. A doctor could not take it and make them no more perfect.
I'm talking twins.
It's creepy, isn't
It's
it?
creepy.
Yeah. So you guys are working together. You're now kind of are you, can we say you're the manager of the shop at Frog Pond?
That's his official title.
Yes.
And you still work there.
I'm still there.
Yeah.
I'm still there.
He shows up. Mhm.
Yeah. So steer me to the direction of how you and Kristy got so involved in how you are involved within our industry and with especially ASTE and everything else. Because I mean, a lot of people might not necessarily, they might be surprised that a smaller shop is so involved because you're running this thing right now pretty much, right? Like you're the girl, but I mean you're
I'm a
you're
volunteer.
running around here nonstop helping people do things.
Yeah, I
Right?
think I've just done it long enough now that I'm volunteering. I want to help them as much as I
Right.
can because I have grown to love so many of the people here that are on staff and the people that I've met, and it's also very important to him. Like I told you, technically, I don't work at the shop
Right.
technically.
Yeah.
However,
But
I have stepped into the role of handling the books and refereeing them too, and whatever I need to do to help. So whatever he does for this organization, I need to support
But
him.
with that being said, she's seen the difference that it made in our lives and our business by coming to this show the
Yes.
very first time.
I was going to
Yes.
ask you, how many years
Absolutely.
have you guys been involved in this level with ASTE?
So this is 5 or 6 years that we've come to AST.
I think so.
It was one of those. I'm not really sure how he found out about it. I was truly in the shop, so
Yep.
I went straight tech. Still got my toolbox. I still have everything.
And you came
and-
as a tech the
And I
first time
come
you
as a
came.
tech. Yep, come 4 technical classes. Didn't take any service advisor, anything.
Yep.
And that year, coming to that training was a eye opener for him. He come back a different person.
Well, the first time I ever came, I came by myself. I think I came down here on a Saturday, and at that time I was working Saturdays.
Yeah.
But I closed down and came down here on a Saturday. A good friend of mine, Chad Whitley, was actually
Yeah.
the first one that taught me into coming down here.
Yeah.
And this is where I met Lucas. This is where I met Rick White.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
all these people that are out here.
You
that
introduced me to Mr. Whitley when we were
Yep.
at Lucas's on the 4th. Fantastic.
They
Awesome.
are
Great.
great.
Awesome.
That
Yep.
whole
Yeah.
he and his wife both have been such a blessing and a help and a support.
So our shops are literally only 5 or 6 miles apart.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing is, you know, both of our boys are Eagle Scouts with the Boy Scouts of America. Okay,
Yeah.
so me and Chad have literally walked hundreds of miles together. I mean, we were friends long before we owned the businesses.
Yeah, because
And-
they have 3 boys.
They have
that
3
have
boys,
gone
yep.
through Eagle Scouts, so our boys grew up together.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome. So, your dad has said to me that you're better on the counter than he is.
absolutely.
And so,
So-
when did you said you came to AST and you started taking just technical classes?
So I was just tech classes, went back, you know, dug in, do whatever I needed to do, whether it was pulling a cab, whether it was engines, trans, AC systems, it didn't matter.
Right.
I was willing to do anything. And the more training he got, the more he wanted to get away.
Right.
Because, you know, our whole life he had worked all the way through, would work Saturdays, and then when me and Caleb were going through scouts, he realized, hey, I want to be able to take some time with them, go do some things. So he dropped Saturdays, which, by the way, if you work Saturdays, go ahead and drop it. You're not going to lose anything, I
Yeah,
promise.
Exactly.
Yep.
Amen to that.
But it really changed our outlook, our lives doing that.
You
So the
guys
more
really
training-
started to build a relationship
Yeah.
too.
We did, because he got to go on those camping trips instead of dropping us off and going to work, and we got to share those memories, share those bonds, and we can look back to those pictures today and laugh and talk about where we were at in that picture, even though it's just got a tree in it. But the more training he went to, the more he learned, the more he wanted to get away.
Because he was still actively working in the shop
Yeah.
every day also.
Yep, he was. He was. At
Swapping
the time, we had a
motors.
lady helping in the office. Not really a service advisor, a
Just-
CSR.
yeah.
He was going back and forth answering the phones. He was
Fixing
out
the
in
cars.
the shop working. He was doing all the billing. You know, whatever it was, he was doing all that. So he was trying to step back a little bit. And over time, you know, we'll take an extra day or two here. And then I guess it was really 4 years ago or so.
3 or 4.
Yeah, he really wanted to step back and take some more time because Mom has had a lot of medical issues that a lot of people don't know about. But it's a blessing every day she's here. So,
Thanks.
you know, after my grandpa died when I was 15 at 58 years old, Mom has a lot of the same medical conditions he has, and that was an eye-opener.
Yeah.
We have not spent the time together that we should. So, you know, he has stepped up in that role of, I want to take that. So he kind of threw me to the wolves, per se, when he left the first time, because it was one of those, hey, I know you've never been in the office before, but I need you to help with this. We had a lady in the office. She was great, but she couldn't build estimates. She hated building estimates. She didn't want to do that.
Yep.
I knew the cars enough that I knew what needed to happen, but I had not a single clue how to run that computer system.
Right.
Well,
But
and you
people
kind of
knew
got
me.
it thrown on you too, because a couple times I ended up in the hospital.
Yep.
and
Yeah, I
we
was going
didn't
to say,
know.
we weren't leaving going on trips
No,
then.
no,
we
no.
were in
I
the
was-
hospital with,
I-
With her, yeah.
and there were a
medical
few
issues.
times like you didn't know how long I was going to be there,
Nope.
or
Nope.
if I was coming
so
home,
it was a
so-
lot. It was a huge learning curve for me because coming out of the shop, you know, I could fix a car. I didn't have a clue how to write an estimate. I couldn't have checked the customer out if they wanted to pay to save my life.
I still can't. So, yeah.
But it was one of those. The more I got in there, the more I learned, and honestly, the more people wanted to talk to me because
Yes.
I had been there the whole time. So even if I was in the shop, if he was gone, people didn't want to talk to the lady in the front office. They wanted to talk to me. So
That's
I
right.
couldn't ever get anything done because I was always on the phone if he was gone, or I was always trying to help do this, and I couldn't get any work done.
And because they'd known you since you were in diapers.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So-
Everybody wanted to talk to me.
You've had a long running employee. It's Mr. Rick? Is it Mr.
Mr. Bill.
Mr. Bill?
Mr. Bill. Yep.
So what's Mr. Bill's, how long has he been with you guys?
Bill's been
almost
there
5 years.
5 years. Yep.
Yeah.
Bill's been with us 5 years.
Yeah.
Bill's 59 years old.
Yeah, I remember you were
Yep.
saying.
Yep. He's 50. Awesome man. Love the man to death. We have a great relationship. But
He's not a front counter person. He does not talk to people. He fixes cars.
He's a heck of a mechanic.
Absolutely.
yes.
Yeah,
He
a
is.
lot
Absolutely.
to teach you.
yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Great man.
And
So
and Benji
as-
respects what he has to say and really listens to, and it's good to have somebody like that.
Yep. So as they're gone, whether it's the hospital, whether it's trying to get away for a little bit, I kept joking with him because I could sell anything. If it needs to be done. Now, granted, I'm not an upsell person. I cannot stand that.
Yeah.
I hate those type of shops.
Right.
If you need it, you need it. If you don't, you don't. Period.
But you've had enough experience to be able to look at something and go, while I'm in there, I better change that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's so key,
that was-
right? Because
that was
somebody that
very
has done
helpful.
the job can see that the value in, I'm going to put this one $5 part in there while I'm in there.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise I'd have to charge my customer 6 hours labor to go back in there and do it. Or I got to warranty it because of how I feel.
I credit
and there's no money in that,
Yeah.
right?
Let's go ahead and do it right
having
the first
that
time.
as that
Yeah.
tech knowledge, a lot of what I can today. But as he was gone, whether it's in the hospital, whether it's traveling, the more and more I was on the phone, I was learning the computer system. At this point, I'm building estimates, and they took off and left on a vacation. And at this point, I'm wearing uniforms. I'm still trying to go between the two.
Yep.
When they left on this one, I said, you know what? I'm not going to go out to the shop. I'm going to stay in the office the entire time. Okay? And at this point, he's tracking numbers like, shop owners do.
Because he'd started coaching at
Right,
that point in
yep,
time and learning
correction.
stuff
He had
after
started
coming
coaching.
down here.
So I'm in the office, and I joked with him, and I told him, because at this point, he's moved to polos. He's come out of the shop. He's in polos. So I said, if I hit these numbers, I'm taking these uniforms off, and I'm wearing polos. Well, I knocked that number out of the ballpark the first day.
Yeah.
So the rest of those days, I wore polo. And come to think of it, I don't think I've worn anything since
Uh-huh.
back to work. I've always been in polo since. But it'd kill him because somebody'd want to talk to me over him. But I
love it
I
now.
could sell anything.
Yeah.
It's building a relationship with that customer that I've known them my entire life. Even the people that walk in there new to this day, I can have that relationship with that customer where I feel like we've known each other. You're not going to walk in and talk to me and it's immediately going to be about cars. It's, yes, it is, but no, it isn't. I want to know about you, your family, what your goals are with the vehicle. What are you looking to do? Where you come from?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
Those little things are what adds up.
You've been well trained, Cody.
Yep.
I can tell that.
So,
Yeah.
and I credit a lot of that to Rick White.
Yeah.
I do. Rick's a great coach, but I am a people person anyway. I
He
can
likes to
A little
talk,
old man.
you
I can
can't
talk.
tell.
Yep.
Look at me. Who else? Who else do you know that's like that?
Well, yeah, 2 of our 3 kids are social butterflies.
Yeah.
Yep. Callie Grace and me, Caleb, he don't want to talk to anybody.
He doesn't.
But I never had a problem talking to somebody. The original problem I had was selling out of my wallet, but that was one thing Rick taught me. And, at the end of the day, I'm there as a doctor.
Yep.
You're coming to me for blood work, essentially, but you're coming about your vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to get down to business. We're going to go across it. You do what you want to do. I will never push anything down anybody's throat, and I will have that conversation up front.
Yeah.
If you don't like the way I present it to you, then I'm sorry, I'm not the shop for you.
Yep.
But I want to tell you what we see.
Yep.
What do the techs find? What do I see? How do we need to go about it? I cannot stand a pushy salesman. I don't want to be that. I've had better luck with that. Don't call somebody and tell them that you've got to do this transmission service or the transmission is going to fall out of your car.
Yeah.
We do this transmission service as a preventative maintenance to try to prevent that failure on
Yeah.
that big ticket item.
Yeah.
It's approach. Customer service is an approach.
Yeah.
Never go into it with a bad attitude. I don't care if me and him's fussing and fighting, screaming. If that phone rings, stop, take a deep breath, put a smile on your face, and answer that phone.
So, if I can interject, when he says he doesn't sell out of his wallet, and yet he took to this like a frog to water, were you kind of guilty of doing that?
Absolutely. I'll answer that for him. He is a sucker for
He-
people.
he's nodding,
Yeah.
so he says,
He
yeah.
will do
Oh,
stuff
Lord,
in a heartbeat.
yes.
Yeah.
He
I
loves sweet little, and he always has. He'd do anything for him.
Yeah.
He'd go mow their lawn. He'll do anything.
Yeah.
And I will too, but it comes to a point you're running a business. You are doing a job.
That's where they differ in some things. Benji would literally give somebody the shirt off his back, which we laugh about because a lot of people think he's genuinely an asshole.
No, I
But he literally is like, he's got a bigger heart than I do by far. But the two of them really, they agree on a lot of things and they do a lot of things similarly.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one area that they differ in because I think Benji would give anything away, and Cody's like, but you've got to make a living.
Yeah.
We're not in this for our health.
And you haven't, I don't think I want to say that you've probably grown up without things and that's driven you to be a little more blunt about the business side of it, right? But you just know that I can be charitable in my community without having to be charitable on every job that comes into the shop.
I will help somebody out to the best of my abilities. If that means I go to somebody's house and help them, after hours on something that's not car related, but building that relationship, absolutely. Do I need to go cut somebody's grass? Do I need to wash somebody's car? Do I need to help them tote groceries? Whatever that is, I'm fine and willing to help do that.
Yeah.
But it comes down to a point. You've built a business to create a profit. Mm-hmm. Those people have worked for money. You are working for money. You are not working for your health.
The goal is to be fair and equitable to begin with so that you don't have to think that you're not being fair and equitable in the end.
I love that.
Community and supporting the community is how we give back. If you are running a legitimate business fairly and you are making a fair profit, you give back to a whole community, which is much more important than giving back to one or two people in a community.
Now, so going forward, and I'm sorry, Miss Callie, you don't have a microphone, so, but
Scooch
if you want
over here.
Scooch over close to your mom so we can kind of pick up some of it. What's the future look like for Frog Pond? How are you going to become involved in this?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I currently do social media for my dad, and I really enjoy social media, but I don't particularly, and that pisses a lot of people off, but they don't, is that close enough?
Yeah.
Okay. But they don't want to understand that I want to do something besides just work at the shop. I really want to go into nursing. That's my end goal.
Yeah, I
but
heard that.
I could never give up on my dad. Plus, I don't want to see his social media go back to being ugly and stuff. It was bad. I really enjoyed making the stuff and videoing them, and I like the atmosphere that I've created. in the shop, when I first started, all the dudes were totally losers when I tried to video them and stuff. They would get so mad, and they were because they got stage fright. Every time I tried to video them, I videoed them sometimes. Talked 3 seconds. It was the shortest thing ever. But I think a lot of them in the shop have really, I don't know if y'all agree, but I think they really came out of their shell.
They have.
Overall. And they talk more and they smile more.
So your sister just said you were a loser.
Yep.
Yeah, she's told me that my whole life. It's nothing new. I mean, she's always been Dad's princess. If she wants anything, she's getting it. Me and Caleb didn't care. If we were out of water, Callie Grace was getting the last drop. Yeah. I mean, it's good.
I mean, it's legit. They're mama's boys and daddy's girl.
I love that.
That's it.
I love that.
I don't even know
So
how you would
Caleb
say that,
has not showed interest in the business.
Mm-hmm.
He is working for a company that does pond retention, pond management, whatever. He wants to be outside. He wants to do wildlife things.
Yeah.
Okay. Callie has not showed any interest in the business until recently, to where she has took a liking to doing social media. Mm-hmm. But we know she's never looked at the shop as, I'm going to work there.
Yeah.
I want to work there. She wants to help people. Whatever that is, she wants to help people. Nursing's it. There's been different things she's talked about, being a flight nurse, medicine or air. At one point it was a dentist, but she's helpful. She's sometimes so nice it makes you want to throw up.
Yeah.
Yes. She's great customer service.
Yeah, but I've been in the shop the entire time. Dad has, I guess I'm his exit plan. Yeah, per se.
That's what I was just gonna. We were gonna talk about succession.
Yep. So.
Right?
Yeah. And I feel like Callie will step up and continue to do the social
media
will help
and the
video. She'll do anything for Cody.
If they're gone and I'm in the office by myself, I am a single service advisor at this point. Mm-hmm. That's doing everything through there. Okay,
Chasing squirrels and all.
Yep. Chasing squirrels, drinking more coffee, whatever I need to do.
Yep.
But if I call Callie, prime instance, last week one day, I needed to go drive a couple cars, check quality, go across a few things, and I also needed to go 15 minutes up the road to pick up a customer and bring him back to pick his up.
Yep.
I called her. I said, hey, I need you to come up here. I need you to answer the phone. She's willing to do that. Oh, yeah. Having that helps me tremendously when they are gone. When I'm gone, and Dad needs to do the same thing. You know, that family atmosphere, that family relationship has, I mean, if it weren't for that, we wouldn't be near where we're at today. And
we've got one more person sitting in the room, unfortunately, without a microphone. Young Gage?
Gage.
Yep. So Gage is going to be, you and Miss Callie are engaged, right? And you also work in the shop. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm not trying to say how was that, but because I already know how it was. I asked Benji about that when I was down on the 4th, and he thinks the world of you. He thinks you're a fantastic young man.
Hush, don't tell him those lies.
He's hard on Gage too, like he was hard on Cody.
Yeah, but I'll say because I'm definitely held to high standards.
Cody holds him to a high standard. I was going to say,
I think I hold him to a higher standard than anybody, just because he's trying to take my sister, and that's just wrong.
Yeah. But is he a good mechanic?
He's getting there.
Yeah. He's young.
So he's young.
He's an apprentice.
Gage's best thing, and don't tell him I said this, but he is willing and wanting to beat his time.
Yeah.
He is wanting to get better. He has that. He has the drive that this industry wants and needs. Mm-hmm. He's willing to get out there and learn. He's willing to get his hands dirty. He doesn't want to sit back and watch. He wants to be doing something, and that means more to me than whether or not you can actually fix this at this point.
Yeah. So, because the reason I wanted to have you all in here is because sometimes, there's a lot of family in our industry, right? There's a lot of shops. But from when I sat down with Benji on the 4th when I was up here, we got kind of just kicking over the idea of having this conversation about family, because I've worked in a shop where the family dynamic was not good.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And it ended with a father and son that didn't speak for like 10 years. Mm-hmm. And same thing, he fired him, and he deserved to be fired from what I heard. It was after I was gone, but you hear things. And I can remember working there, and it was a rough relationship for the two of them. It strains it, right? But what I love about this family is that I can see how at the end of the day you guys are so committed to the love of the family, and the fact that you are able to brush it off when you go home. You're still family.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You're in the common goal of this fantastic business.
So the best thing is working with family, and the worst thing is working with family.
Yeah.
It is a very stressful, very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
The best thing I ever did was move out from living with him.
Yeah. It got to the point.
It made we were to a point we hated each other.
Yeah.
We didn't want to talk.
Together all day, every day.
We were there all day. We rode together to work. We were there all day. We fussed at each other. We went home. We fussed at each other. We'd try to sit down at dinner, and we still had things on our chest that we couldn't release.
Yep.
There was always a high tension.
Yeah.
And it got to a point to where it was absolutely killing us. So when I moved out, that was a huge step for me. I don't even know what was I, 19?
Yeah,
19, almost 20 or so when I moved out.
I think
you were just fixing to turn 20 like in a week or two.
Yeah,
you
I told
him
you.
You got to go
by
by the
time you're 20. Yep, get out of my house.
Love you, mean it.
Yep, love you, mean it, bye.
Yeah.
But our childhood, we had always been a tight family. We were going to sit down at dinner. We were going to put your phones up. You're going to sit down. We're going to say the blessing. We're going to eat as a family, and then we go our separate ways, whether that's go back to work, whether that's go mow the yard at 10 o'clock at night, whatever that was. But we always took the time to stop and do things together.
Yeah.
That has been one of the greatest blessings to me, because, I have those friends that their family doesn't want to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Their mom or dad's a drug addict. Their mom or dad's dead.
divorced.
You know, whatever that may be, no matter how much we fussed and fight, there was always better.
Yeah.
You know, there was always the good things to look at. You had the good outweighed the bad.
Yeah.
No matter how many times I wanted to cut his throat, or he wanted to cut mine.
Take a chop saw to your
Absolutely. You know, there's.
Well, I think there's a respect there from Cody for his daddy because he has seen him literally almost kill himself. Like there was a time he almost died of you know, getting overheated in that old shop, which is actually what turned us into building the new shop because I basically said, you're going to have to build something or you're going to die.
Yeah.
Because he was over like 125, 130 degrees in there and he's cooking. But I think Cody seeing that, and even Caleb and Callie seeing that, like even though Caleb really doesn't do much at the shop, if you need him, he will come.
Right.
If he's home, he'll come and do whatever. Just like Callie will step in and do whatever, and she loves being up there and she helps out a lot, not just with the social media, but with customers also and community. Everybody respects the fact that he has killed himself to build this, and it's not just what it has done for our family, but it is important to our community to be successful also because.
Yeah.
You know, number one, we have employees that now depend on us, and that's huge. And, you know, families in the community that depend on you to be there if you're who's worked on their car for, 20 years or whatever. Yep. And so I think, we talk about family a lot. Family is huge. Nobody's going to work as hard for something that they care about and understand how much it gives except for family. The family is not always blood. I mean, Gage will, I hope, step up and become a part of the team too. But like we were saying earlier, Bill's not blood kin at all, but Bill's 5 years in with us. He's
our family. He is.
And you've heard me say, Lucas, that's my brother, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's just no one has done more for me than him in the last 10 years of my life to put me on this track. And I'm the vessel that, he gave me the platform to meet people like this. It's one thing to have the conversation, but I'm so blessed with the people that I met. And you and I just clicked from the beginning because it's like, you've known how I've been, you've read how I've acted, what I've thought, and you came up to me and you said, I threw a radiator at a boss of mine, and I went, this is my people, this right here, this is the kind of guy that he gets me, and the family thing is what I said it to Lucas, and I was speaking with Paul Danner, where to come down here where everybody around here, and I'm not so foolish as to know that everybody out there isn't living the perfect life, but I'm inspired when I come down and I spend time with people like this because of the marriage is so strong and the family is so strong, right? That's more important sometimes than what are we just trying to do with this industry. You know what I mean? I come out of here renewed with it's like, I hear the stories between you two and I hear your story, and I'm like, the world is not as screwed up as sometimes it looks. You know what I mean? Not. You guys are what I'm trying to say is you're inspiring.
Thank you. This
kind of family and the way you guys get along and what you've built. That should inspire a lot of people that are listening tonight. That, at the end of the day, when you go home and be thankful. Give thanks. You are blessed.
Absolutely. Blessed beyond measure.
Right? You appreciate what you have and count your blessings. Mm-hmm. And I've been down here and this has been a whirlwind the last year from when I first met you. Yep. And that
first free shot of I remember I had an extra shot of tequila. I'm like, hey Jeff, come on. Come
and
here. That's the first time we ever met.
And we talked about Shine.
Yep.
And like you saw me drinking that.
Yeah.
And that's not, and
be careful, it'll sneak up on you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting to find more of it. That whatever that was, whoever's recipe that wasn't your recipe. That's somebody else's that was there.
Yeah.
Can't take credit for that.
That is the most incredible thing I've ever drank in my life. And I'm not a particular but we had a lot of different bourbon on the table that night, and that was the best thing that I tasted.
jar stuck to your hand really good that night.
Yeah.
Welcome
You
to the
saw
You were
South.
glistening.
the picture of me, and it was hot. But,
you were glistening.
but when we were standing at Benji and I had the photo, and I'm like, I'm shining.
Oh, yeah.
Because I literally was shining. The
Oh,
jar was
yeah.
just about empty, and I'd been pulling on that for an hour and a half, and I was feeling no pain, and I mean, I was euphoric.
We
And-
had a good time, though, didn't
and
we?
yeah, and so I'm here now feeling the same way, and I ain't had a drop.
Yep.
So that's not what I was drinking. That's about the people I'm around. So
Correct.
I want to thank you guys for coming and doing this with me tonight. We're all going to go have dinner.
Yes.
And I mean, for anybody listening, when you come to these events, you meet some special people and you hear some special stories. And I'm over. I can't count my blessings to be able to call you a friend and to get to know you. And dude, you're such your dad is so proud of you. So proud of you. You know what I mean? I hope you know what that's like, what it really means. And I think you do. I'm pretty sure you do. Right. And I didn't want to come on here and just be like, all cut up and talk about the tough times. I don't want to say they're bad times, the tough times. Your
We've
father,
watched each other as a family hit our lowest and hit our highest.
Yeah.
And that is a huge, huge thing.
your dad gloats about the family so much that I just it fills me with such goodness to hear it, and I just want to thank you all. I'm going to continue to follow where you guys are, what you're doing, and how everything's going, and I'm going to see you again here next year.
Thanks.
I'm going to try and be here on the 4th again for 4th of July if I don't make it down, but I mean at some point we'll reconnect again soon.
Absolutely.
You know,
Down the frog
I
pond
hope,
anytime.
Yeah. And I hope, I know we're here at the show, but I hope that the people that listen realize the importance, not just of the fact that we are a biological family, but it is important to bring your teams to this and build a family culture in your shop. Like all of our techs are here right now. We have apprentice here. Besides just Gage, we have another one.
Yeah.
And we have another tech that's been with us for a little while, Bobby. The goal is to build a family, to create the shop culture that you want. Bring your teams here.
Yeah.
You should
Everybody
care more
can get
about each
something
other
from
than
this.
you
it's
care about.
incredible, isn't it?
It's an incredible event. But
Care more about each other than you do the dollar.
Yeah.
Come
it also
here.
shows that you're willing to put into your team. You want them to be better.
Yeah.
You want yourself to be better.
Yeah.
And don't just come to this and never talk about it. Go back and have those conversations with your guys. What did you learn? What did you get from this? What can we change? How can I personally change to make this shop, make what we do run better?
Yeah.
Dude, there's things I fail on every day. There's things you fail on. Every one of us. None of us are perfect by any stretch.
Nope.
No.
But we're willing to improve.
Willing
That's
to
all that
improve and
matters.
willing to admit is a huge step in this game.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you.
Thank you.
I
Thank
love
you
all
for
these.
having us out.
Yeah,
I love
I
all
appreciate
this.
it.
You guys are great to have
I appreciate you supporting everybody supporting our kids to build up the next generation. That's huge.
Hey, if you could do me a favor real quick and comment on, and share this episode, I'd really appreciate it. And please, most importantly, set the podcast to automatically download every Tuesday morning. As always, I'd like to thank our amazing guests for their perspectives and expertise, and I hope that you'll please join us again next week on this journey of change. Thank you to my partners in the ASTE group and to the Changing the Industry podcast. Remember what I always say, in this industry, you get what you pay for. Here's hoping everyone finds their missing 10mm, and we'll see you all again next time.